everyone. Today's video discussion is on the matter of the IRS now having the power to revoke your passport. Before I get into the meat of the subject, let me just mention that this law was recently signed into effect. Therefore, it is very new, and information regarding the law is still pretty vague. I'm going to be reading from notes that I have compiled, and I am going to provide you with a brief summary as to what my understanding of this new law is. Recently, President Obama signed into effect a 5-year infrastructure spending bill. And as if there are not already enough confusing sections to the Internal Revenue Code, which I will be referring to as the IRC from here on out, another section has been added to the code, and that is Section 7345. The title of the new section is Revocation or Denial of Passport in case of certain tax delinquencies. This section has been added to the IRC as a result of H.R. 22, which is titled Fixing America's Surface Transportation Act, referred to as the FAST Act. Actually, there seems to be a lot of different things like thrown into this act here, because it's there's a lot of different matters that don't seem to relate to transportation that's thrown into this act. But anyway, as a result of this act, the law says that state departments can now revoke, deny, or limit passports for anyone that the IRS certifies as having a serious delinquent tax debt. What's a serious delinquent tax debt? It's a tax debt in excess of $50,000. Now, the $50,000 threshold includes penalties and interest. And we all know how quickly the IRS penalties and interest can add up. So, note that if you are currently contesting a proposed tax bill with the IRS, or if you're currently in tax court, this amount should not count toward that $50,000 threshold, because it is not yet considered a tax debt. And again, the details of the tax law are vague at this point, but it is noted that a taxpayer who is actively paying on their tax debt, such as having entered into an installment agreement, should not have their passport affected. For those of you who owe the IRS $50,000 or more, or have a tax lien and you frequently travel internationally, you might want to keep a close eye on this matter and see how it unfolds. Now, in addition to travelers, international travelers, the TSA may be requiring passengers from a few states to have a passport instead of a state-issued ID to board a plane, even for domestic travel. The states that are affected by this change are Louisiana, Minnesota, New Hampshire, and New York. Now, for Minnesota residents, as soon as January 2016, you may not be able or allowed to board federally regulated commercial aircraft using a Minnesota driver's license or ID card. This information came from the state's public safety department. So if you owe the IRS $50,000 or more, or live in one of the states mentioned, again, you may want to pay close attention to how this new law plays out and how it will directly or maybe indirectly affect you. And especially you business travelers who travel internationally a lot, it is wise to make sure that you have your IRS affairs in order and not owe more than the threshold amount. Because if you do, you might find yourself without a passport. Thank you for listening. This concludes the video.